Welcome. I'm Diane Carbo with Caregiver Relief, and today I'm very honored to welcome a guest who truly understands the heart and soul of caregiving. Rick Henkin is not only a devoted husband, but also a full-time caregiver to his wife, Sonia, who is living with dementia. Like many of us walking this caregiving path, Rick's life took an unexpected turn, and instead of being defeated by the challenges, he's transformed them. Out of his personal experience, Rick created Caregiver Mastery, a course designed to help family caregivers move from burnout, stress, and guilt to peace, clarity, and emotional resilience in just minutes a day. Rick's mission is deeply personal, and his message is one of empowerment and hope. Rick's work has been described as an eye opener and exactly what everybody needs, and something people can't recommend enough. So I'm really thrilled to have him here today to share his story, the real life tools that are helping other caregivers, and the emotional journey of shifting from being a spouse to becoming a full time caregiver. So, Rick, welcome. I'm
Thank
excited
you
to
for
have you here.
thank you for that wonderful introduction.
Oh, you're welcome.
Really, very, very nice.
Well, you know what? I like to at first to start at the beginning. How did you become a caregiver to your wife, Sonia? And
Okay.
what was that shift like being her husband to her caregiver?
Well, in the fall of 2019, I noticed that some just didn't have any attention span. She'd be up and down. We'd be watching TV. And, Sonia, wait for the commercial. So I'd pause it. I'd be constantly pausing because I didn't want her to miss out on stuff.
Oh,
And I decided I want to have somebody check this out. She was taking antidepressants at the time. I didn't want to take her to her primary care physician. I wanted to take her to someone that specializes in brain disorders, whatever. So I did some research and found the Pacific Neuroscience Institute here in Santa Monica, California. They have a national reputation. Their doctors are Harvard, Yale, UCLA, USC. So I, on the way there, she kept on saying, "Why do we have this appointment?" She says, "I don't need this appointment. You need this appointment." And she's very resistive and argumentative. But we got in there, and the psychologist would ask her some questions because he explained that different parts of the brain process things differently. So he was asking her to repeat these words, add these words in a sentence, and then he gave her the clock test. You're familiar
okay.
with that.
Very familiar.
And she drew the clock, she drew the numbers on the clock, and he said, "Draw the hands showing 10 to 11." And she just stared at it literally for 5 minutes until we both started to cry. And that's when she realized she had a problem,
Yeah.
a mild cognitive impairment at that point. And he said, "It's like a jigsaw puzzle. We can't really tell you what the problem is until after a while." So she had several CAT scans. And eventually, in January of 2020, she was given an amyloid PET scan and diagnosed with Alzheimer's at that point.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal. And at that point, it was just a matter of memory issues. Okay, we all have that. I can deal with that. And as time went on, I put her in adult daycare strictly for people with dementia out here.
Wow, that was very smart of you.
Well, I put her there and she thrived. They loved her. Look,
Yes.
everyone loves my
Yes.
wife wherever she goes because she's a hugger, she's a kisser, and she'd help them set up the activities, break down the activities. And when she got home, though, you never knew what you were going to get. Sonia developed what's called Capgras syndrome, if you're familiar with that. You
Yep.
are. Just for your audience, Capgras is named after a French psychologist from the 1920s. And it's an irrational belief that the person whose face she recognizes, me, is an imposter. And you
Yes.
can't shake it. You can't shake it with photos. You can't shake it with other people talking to her.
No.
We'd be sitting on the sofa and she'd look at me and she'd say, "Where do you live? I want you out of here before I call the police." And then she'd run next door to tell the neighbors about the strange man in her house. I'd take a walk for about a half hour. I'd come back and find her crying, wondering where I went because she had no recollection of what took place.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And that it was, she became disruptive over a period of time. Became disruptive to the family. We have 6 granddaughters. Two of them live upstairs from us. And she was her best friend, crawling on the floor, playing dress up, playing makeup, everything. And eventually she became, unfortunately, the mean grandma. She'd come home from daycare, she'd be banging on the door, and they stopped answering it because she was scaring
Yeah.
them. They had to do homework, they were eating their dinner.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
one day, my son said to me, his wife is from Oregon, so she took the kids up to Oregon for Easter vacation.
uh-huh.
And he said to me, I'm looking for a job. And I said, cool. He's doing it online. And he said, it's in Ashland, Oregon. We live in Los Angeles. And my heart just sank. I felt like I was being abandoned. And
I'm sure.
he said, it's the most difficult choice I ever had to make, my mother or my family. And I got to take care of my family.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, he did not move. What I did, I didn't want to do anything that was expedient for me, like moving Sonia. I just didn't think I didn't feel that was right. I thought it was disrespectful.
Yeah.
I called up her neurologist, her nurse practitioner, and psychologist, and I said, why is it when she's at daycare, they love her? And when she gets home, well, she's not a monster, but difficult. And they said, because at daycare, she has structure, and at home, it's the
Yeah.
Wild West. And they
Exactly.
felt it was time for Sonia to move into a facility.
Yeah.
So with their blessing, I did that. Sonia moved into a memory care facility. She was there for 22 months until the long-term care insurance ran out. She's been home for over a year. And I'm glad she's home now. She's also much more easy, more mild. The
Manageable.
yeah, Capgras syndrome disappeared pretty quickly at the beginning.
Good.
And she still goes to daycare, strictly again for dementia patients. So I have a few hours each day, but I have to tell you, and I don't want listeners to hate me, but while most caregivers, their idea of respite is getting away from their loved one, my idea of respite is spending time with someone, picking her up at the end of the day, spending on weekends with her, because by focusing on her, I don't have to think about anything else. So that becomes my rest.
Gotcha. Well,
Anyway,
I really, how did you go from the shift from being her husband to her caregiver? I think you have a lot of husband still in you, not just
yeah,
caregiving.
of course. She's my wife. We've been married for 34 years. It's a second marriage for both of us. We have 3 kids between us. They each have 2 girls. Well, no boys, only girls. And at the time, but this is before she went into daycare, I realized that I understood about the burden of care. It's a significant medical phenomenon. It takes its toll on the caregiver psychologically, physically, mentally, financially. And I thought, okay, let me research this online. This can't be a new issue. There's got to be information about it.
Yeah.
And I searched, and on website after website, I found the same basic information.
Mm.
Take 15 minutes, take a walk, exercise, meditate. It's all good advice, but it
Yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with my feelings and my emotions. And that's
It-
when I realized I got to do this by myself because mine's the only brain that can change. Sonia's isn't. So I started working on myself, just trying to change my own mindset. That's what I was trying to do. And
You know what? That's a really good point I want to make here because I tell my caregivers, you can't change those around you. You can't change the person you're caring for. All you can do is change your perspective and your approach to handling situations.
no, that's exactly right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
after several months, I got to a point of acceptance. I reached what I call my heaven island, just a place of peace, acceptance, clarity. And then I thought, well, maybe I can help other people. I didn't know what else was out there. I started looking at Facebook, dozens and dozens of groups for family caregivers,
Yep.
and with tens of thousands of members. And I started looking at their comments, and
Yep.
almost to the person, all they did was complain and rant. My life is over. I'm depressed.
Yep.
When's this going to end? One woman was even considering committing suicide because it was easier than taking care of her husband. And I thought, okay, cool. I've got something for them. So I started my own Facebook group, and I don't allow any of that. I only allow if you've done something that's been helpful to you that you share with other people. That's what I want on my website.
Yes. I love that. I also have a faith and caregiving section in Caregiver Relief because
Okay.
I find people, and this may offend some people, that's all right. People that have faith have something a higher being to believe in handle caregiving better than those that don't have any kind of faith or support of any kind. So I think
I agree with that.
caregiving is really important. But now, spousal caregiving is also described as a journey of ambiguous loss. You're losing parts of the person you love while
Yeah.
still caring for them every day. So I want to have you explain to me, how did you cope with this emotional grief, and how does caregiver mastery address this?
What it comes down to, it all comes down to acceptance. You're not going to change that person. No matter what they do that drives you crazy, repeat the same thing over and over. It's the disease talking. They're not doing it on purpose. They're not trying to upset you, push your buttons. And it would really, and again, that's the mindset. It's all about acceptance. I figured that out early on. And
Never figure that out.
I'm sorry?
Most caregivers never
Oh,
figure it out.
yeah. But it's important because what I did know, because of the toll that the burden of care could take on me, I didn't want to be a statistic also. I wasn't going to let it shorten my life.
Yes.
Everything I do, I'm I look at it from the standpoint of how is this affecting me? I mean, I still get frustrated and angry, but I catch myself. I'm mindful of it and I stop before I blow up because I also understand that the better emotion that I have, the better I can take care of Sonia, the better the quality of our relationship. Because that it's just important. It's like, what if I told your caregivers that it's not your loved one that's causing you to be angry or upset. It's what you choose to think about your loved one's behavior that's causing you to be angry and upset. And again, it goes back to changing your mindset and looking at things differently.
So, Rick,
Yes.
how does your course, Caregiver Mastery, help reframe those thoughts for the caregivers?
Well, okay, my course is divided into very small, short modules. I just want people to know it's not some giant time-consuming program. To add more to caregivers' plates, I created to lift some of the weight off their shoulders. The lessons are short and practical. And if you apply what I teach in just minutes a day, I guarantee you'll start to feel a difference in 2 or 3 weeks. Because I've seen that. I gave the course for free to a couple of people in exchange for reviews.
Oh,
And one woman said, people are telling me I'm smiling again. And
yeah.
her husband had both Alzheimer's and cancer. He has since passed. But the reviews, so to speak, the testimonials that I got were far exceeded what I thought I
Mhm.
was doing to help people.
One of the things I encourage my caregivers to do when I'm working with them is start with one every day with an attitude of gratitude.
Mhm.
Just decide what you're grateful for, and start your day on that frame of mind, because it makes the day go easier and faster.
Absolutely. Here's a simple little thing because I know people say, grateful. What the heck should I be grateful for? How
Yeah,
about this didn't happen 10 years earlier? Now you have 10 more years of memories that you wouldn't have had.
yeah.
That's
So
something to be grateful for.
I love the way you reframe that, because people don't understand that there
Hmm.
are many things to be grateful for in a day. It may be just that they have another day with their loved one, and they may have a moment of lucidity with them where they connect.
Mhm.
That's priceless. It's also hard when the light goes out and they don't know you again, but those
Right.
moments, people live for those moments, and it's
Hmm.
important.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Another thing I think that's very important is you have to look for the humor, not to make fun of your loved one,
Yeah.
but look, they do things that are funny and you have to hang on to that just as a memory. I came into the bathroom one day and Sonia was putting toothpaste in her hair. And I looked at her and I said, why? And she started laughing. And I don't know if toothpaste is a good conditioner, but her hair sure smelled minty fresh for the rest of the day.
You know what? People don't understand that laughter is just more than a coping mechanism.
Oh, yeah.
It changes your hormones, it raises your dopamine and serotonin levels, and it just makes you feel good. So you need to have some laughter. And you don't have to laugh at somebody, but you sure
No,
help
no,
laugh with
no.
them.
Absolutely. One time, here's a great story. We were at IHOP, International House of
Oh,
Pancakes. As we're getting ready to leave and I'm paying, she snatches a pancake off someone else's plate. And the man was very, very nice. That's one thing I'm grateful for. In every situation, everybody's been very nice. They understand immediately that Sonia is harmless and didn't do
yeah.
whatever on purpose. So he just says to me, well, that's okay. And I apologize. But in my haste to get out because I was embarrassed, I opened the only alarmed door in the restaurant. So the siren's blaring, everybody's looking at us, and Sonia's just contentedly eating her pancake.
One of the things I've told my caregivers that I work with is to have,
Yeah.
you're going to have a family member with dementia and you're still taking them out in public,
Mhm.
which I encourage everybody to do
Oh,
for as
yeah.
long as possible. Have cards written up and say,
Yeah.
"Please forgive my wife or my husband, they have dementia." And if you give those to people when something like the pancake thief act, that just cracks me up. People are, they're kind, they're understanding,
They
and
are.
God bless them because it's a challenge, and we have more seniors than youth now, so we don't have
Mhm.
youth to take care of our seniors, so
Yeah.
have to help one another and show kindness and compassion when we can.
Absolutely. And also to keep in mind, this could easily have been you. It just happened to be your loved one.
Exactly.
How would you want them to treat you?
Yes.
One thing that came to me, this is a few months ago, I was getting Sonia ready for bed.
Mhm.
I realized because she's so dependent on me as our everyone's loved one, dependent on their caregiver,
Yeah.
we have the ability, the gift, if you will, to make the rest of their life miserable or joyful. And I want it to be joyful. When the time comes, and I don't like to talk about it, but I don't want to look back and say, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have said that. I don't want that. I want to know that I've done everything to make her life as good as possible as it can be in her situation.
One of the things caregivers don't realize, Rick, is that the person with dementia loses their ability to understand what you're saying
Mhm.
sometimes. And they definitely have lost what I call the reasoner, the
Mhm.
logic. And so when you're talking to them, even though they may not understand what you say, they see how you say it. So it's really
Exactly.
important that you remain, I tell everybody, be mindful, take those deep breaths, calm, and put a smile on your face. Touch them gently. Even if you just want to scream your lungs out,
Right.
how to get control of that because they sense your feelings and they will respond in kind.
You're absolutely right. They do react to our feelings.
Yeah.
When Sonia, I mentioned to you earlier that Sonia was in a memory care facility for a while.
Yeah.
When she came home, she used to go through the house and turn off all the water, turn on all the water faucets.
Oh
And
dear.
I could explain to her, hey, it's a precious resource and it costs
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Or I could yell at her or plead with her. What's the point?
There's none.
Again, thinking to myself, I just want to preserve my own health. When I hear the water faucets go on, I just turn them off.
Yes.
That's the end of it. I don't get upset. My blood pressure doesn't rise. I just turn them off.
I love that. I
She
love
also has a habit, which I'm sure a lot of loved ones do, of just picking up stuff and moving. And then you can't find whatever it is.
Yes. Yes.
I walk around with the remote in my pocket, my keys in my pocket. I mean, whatever, because she just moves stuff.
I had one client, he wore a tool belt
Yeah.
with, like, water bottle, remote, different things that he needed for and keys and stuff so that she wouldn't
Yeah.
grab them and
That's
hide
smart.
them. People have to get smart and
Yeah.
be flexible and change. Rick, your course, Caregiver Mastery, is said to help caregivers reclaim clarity and calm in just minutes a day. Can you
Right.
walk us through what a typical day or practice from the course looks like?
Well, the course is divided into modules. There's an introduction module, of course, and then there's one about mindfulness, distorted thoughts, limited beliefs, mindset. And each of the little modules are videos. They're 10, 12 minutes long. Then there's a summary of what was just in that video, and then exercise to work on. And you can go through, skip around, you do it any way you want. It's overall, it's not that long because it doesn't need to be that long. It really, if you really work at it, and these are things that will go into other aspects, other facets of your life, other relationships, whatever it may be, the way to look at things so that you're not losing yourself, you're not creating health problems for yourself. Like we had talked, and a lot of people are very surprised that in the Journal of the American Medical Association, they did a survey and found that family caregivers have a 63% higher risk of dying than their peers who aren't caregivers. That's why you hear about the caregiver ending up in the hospital before their loved one. I don't
Yeah,
want to be that one of those people. I'm sure nobody listening to your podcast wants to be one of those people. And it
they
doesn't
don't.
have to be.
Yes. But you know what? They don't have the tools. Well, first of all, everything that's thrust upon them was once care that was provided by healthcare professionals. So
Mhm.
now family caregivers are giving medicines, changing wounds,
Right.
handling wandering and taking care of somebody with dementia. And it's challenging and they don't have the skills. That's where your caregiver mastery comes in. I mean, you address guilt, burnout, isolation, and these are words
Right.
we hear every day from caregivers.
Right.
Can you tell me how caregiving mastery can help someone move from surviving to truly living again?
It helps them change their mindset and to look at things differently. It's the same idea. Let's take two paraplegics, both the same age, both in wheelchairs, both the result of a car accident. Why is it that one bemoans his fate? My life is over. Nobody's ever going to love me. And the other person's out playing wheelchair basketball. It's
Yep.
mindset.
Yep. Yep.
While it's a simple concept, I understand it's not a simple thing to change from where you are now to a different mindset. It takes a little bit of time, but that's what my course is about, helping you change that and looking at things differently. Again, we're not going to be able to change anything. Okay. The disease is going to progress. If you're the best caregiver in the entire world, it's still going
Yeah.
to progress. So the
Yes.
only person that you can change is yourself and
Yep.
preserve your own self.
Exactly. And I have to applaud you on saying that because so many caregivers, they don't grasp that concept of self care and
Mhm.
making their health and their emotional well being a higher priority. And the caregiver guilt, I call it some caregivers feel like they're victims. And
Yeah.
when you have that victim mentality, you
Right.
can't overcome things. And I love that you tell people we are responsible for our actions. And like I
Mhm.
say, change your mindset, you change your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know a lot of caregivers, they have doubts about their ability as a caregiver.
Yes,
And
yes, yes.
I just want to say to them, you're doing the best job you can. We
Mhm.
didn't learn this stuff in school. We didn't learn it in high school. We didn't learn it in college. None of us were ever taught how to navigate this, but you're doing the best you can. And it doesn't matter what other people say, your family, your friends. I
Yeah.
use the word armchair generals.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Tell them to take over for a weekend and let them see rather than standing on the sideline saying, well, you should do this, you should do that. Everybody's journey is different and
Yes.
nobody understands unless you're taking care of that person.
And there's always one primary caregiver,
Mhm.
and the spousal caregivers always are challenged because about 11% of all caregivers in the US are spousal caregivers. And they have their own health issues while providing care. And they're providing more than 44 hours per week of care. It takes and the emotional toll for a spousal caregiver is often greater due to the shift from being a romantic partner or life partner to a medical manager, advocate, and often the sole caregiver. And it's really stressful. It's hard to overcome that.
Because
And caregivers, so the spousal caregivers, I think, are the ones that I worry about the most. But I also have so many caregivers that are struggling day to day and they have no idea what to do or how to overcome their fears. And their fear is what causes them anger. One of the things that I'm an old rehab nurse. I picked up men for a living. I really did strokes, odds. But
uh,
one of the things I tell caregivers is you need to be lazy. And I don't want you to do everything for them, especially with a dementia patient. You need to let them do whatever they can for as long as possible. Because once they lose an ability, it's gone. it's not going to get better. And it's
Right.
the same if you're a spouse with somebody who has a stroke. You got to keep on your partner that had the stroke to keep exercising, and
Of course.
because they'll decline and then it's more pressure on you. I know one of the things you have to is caregivers have to do is practice patience. And that's really
Mhm.
because they want to hurry up and get it done. Let me feed you and we'll get it done, or let me get you dressed. And you deny your family member their emotional well-being and dignity of taking care of themselves.
Right.
Now, is it hard watching somebody who's shivering and shaking and can't get a spoon to their mouth? Yes, but you have to let them try.
Absolutely. I think socialization is so important.
Oh, it is.
Take them
Yeah.
outside, let them be with other people.
Yes, yes, yes.
Whether it's at
Even
a
if they're
daycare.
inappropriate, even if they're inappropriate,
Yeah.
get outside and interact. Well, Rick, you've received some amazing feedback from caregivers and even other podcast hosts. So, what kind of transformation do you typically see in people that go through your course?
Well, they start to feel like a burden's been lifted off their shoulders. Life just life becomes easier because they're looking at it differently. I'm trying to think how to answer your question.
No, you're doing fine.
Still have the
Absolutely.
you still have the same chores, the same things that you need to take care of, but you're looking at it differently. What's interesting, I was driving down the street and painted on a wall, I saw a quote from Maya Angelou, and it said, If something bothers you, change it. If you can't change it, change your attitude."
Yes, yes,
It's
yes,
really and that goes back to tell yourself, "I'm doing the best I can, and
yes,
that's enough."
yes.
Just keep
And
telling
to
yourself,
be enough.
"Yeah, it's all you
Absolutely.
can do."
Yes.
Absolutely.
Rick,
It's
one thing you wish every caregiver knew that might have changed your own journey if you had learned it sooner.
for me, be to be patient and, again, changing my mindset, which can apply to so many aspects of our life.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was getting into. Sonia's grandfather had dementia, who I had never met. He was before my time.
Yeah.
And you'll find also that some people will just kind of disappear out of your life. Could be family members, friends. I've experienced that. And part of it is not that they don't care. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to say. And I can understand that. So I try to help them along with saying, "Hey, why don't you come over for brunch on Saturday?"
Yeah.
No, and I'll make I did that recently. We had 14 people over, and it was nice. It was nice for Sonia, it was
Wow.
nice for me. I try to do that every couple of months.
Beautiful. And you know what? That's one of the things caregivers let typical family caregivers get so bogged down in everything that they do lose contact with all their outside.
Mhm.
And the thing is, there's life after caregiving. And
Oh, yeah.
if you don't water and like a garden, if you don't water those relationships and give them attention, they wither away and die. And then you have nothing at the end of your caregiving journey, which is really a challenge for so many.
That's very true. This is just a chapter in our lives. It's not the whole story.
Exactly. That's beautiful. On that note, I'm going to say to my caregivers, remember, you are the most important part of the family caregiving equation. Without you, it all falls apart. So please practice self care every day. Learn to be gentle with yourself because you are worth it. Rick, thank you for your time. And we will
Yeah.
be posting this and we will have a link to your Caregiver Mastery course.
Can I just say one more thing to caregivers?
Absolutely.
Stop resisting things. It's just the way it is. When you stop resisting reality, because you're not gonna be able to change it, when you stop wishing things were different or trying to force them to change, you relieve an enormous portion of your stress, the stress that caregiving brings. And for a long time, I didn't see that, but eventually I learned that.
I
And
love that you're bringing that attention to caregivers because they desperately need it.
yeah.
And change your perspective, you change your life. Good message, Rick. And I can't wait to tell everybody about your course.
Thank you so much, Diane.
Thank you.
All day.
Okay. Yeah, you
All
too.
right.